JBN, we keep you informed. Armed ex-convict fatally shot in Manchester. The Manchester police say an ex-convict was yesterday morning shot and killed when he pointed a gun at an officer who was responding to a dispute in the Top Albion community on the outskirts of Mandeville. The deceased has been identified as 25-year-old Ricardo Spence, otherwise called Ratty, of Top Albion. Head of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Gary Francis, said that shortly after 10 a.m., the officer responding to the dispute saw Spence armed with a machete. When ordered to drop the machete, Spence dropped the machete and pulled the firearm and pointed it in the policeman's direction. The policeman ordered him to drop the gun and he refused. The policeman fired shots and Spence sustained injuries and was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead, Francis said. He said the deceased had been convicted for housebreaking and larceny. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM, is probing the fatal shooting. Superintendent Francis is urging witnesses to come forward. We again ask any witnesses that can assist in the investigation to come forward. Also, these are not outcomes that we desire, but in the case where the police officer's life or that of other citizens is in danger, then the outcome is like this, Francis added. Henry condemns killing of ministry staff. Minister of Labour and Social Security Mike Henry is condemning the brutal gunsling of one of his staff, Ornella Bryan, in Kingston Tuesday night. According to the minister, the 24-year-old senior secretary employed to the ministry's North Street offices in Kingston was killed in the presence of her 3-year-old son. He said he is deeply mortified by the news of the killing, and while he did not meet her directly, she was an employee of his ministry for over 6 years, and that really hits home knowing that her life was snuffed out so brutally. The minister said violence against our nation's women remains a bedeviling issue and must be arrested. He further called for individuals with information to speak out, speak up, and do what they can to give information to the police in confidence so that there can be an arrest and conviction in a court of law. The minister added that the now motherless son will become part of the ministry's family and every staff member will see to it that he grows up to take his rightful place in the society. Henry said he has asked State Minister Xavier Main to lead a ministry team to visit with the family and provide emotional and psychological support as they grieve her sudden passing. Stop feeding the greedy. Panton stands firm on position regarding donations to parliamentarians. Unshakable. That's how retired Justice Seymour Panton described his stance in relation to parliamentarians who are used by individuals as a vehicle to distribute scarce benefits to their constituents. Panton, a former president of the Court of Appeal, argued that persons who wish to make donations should do it themselves or distribute them through established charities. When money is delivered in a constituency in that manner, what is likely to happen is that the greedy will benefit, not necessarily the needy. That is my personal unshakable position, and unapologetic, Panton said. On Tuesday, during the inaugural meeting of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee, at least 2 lawmakers questioned the source of authority of Panton's position, which he expressed in a report tabled in Parliament last week. Sandals hotel mogul Gordon Booth Stewart recently gave $31.5 million to the 63 members of Parliament to distribute to their constituents. Chairman of the Integrity Commission Oversight Committee, Carl Smuda, highlighted Panton's remarks in the annual report, saying it is a statement worth reading. That was a contentious remark. I want to see the source of authority of that statement, said committee member Mark Golding. Like you, I'm not sure where the authority is vested, said Samuda. Panton made it clear that the statement represented his personal view, noting that it was not intended to question the integrity of any parliamentarian. He said that parliamentarians have a tendency to give things to henchmen, to distribute, and henchmen usually look after their own. The Integrity Commission chairman also noted that we don't want the perception that when persons give things like these, that they're expecting to get anything in return. He said that there might be persons applying for contracts and succeed legitimately, but the perception that might be created is that, well, because they gave so-and-so, this contract has succeeded. In the annual report, Panton said there should be no question of giving money to a parliamentarian to distribute to constituents. Parliamentarians are not supposed to be engaged in the distribution of goods, scarce resources, or spoils. Chinese turn to facial recognition to hit back at robbers. With a number of their businesses being hit in multi-million-dollar heists in recent years, sometimes with deadly outcomes, members of the Chinese community in Montego Bay, St. James have turned to technology, including facial recognition software, to boost surveillance. Following the latest robbery last week in which a security guard was shot dead at a Chinese-owned supermarket, the Chinese have restated that they are fully behind efforts to make the parish safe through the use of technology, primarily high-tech CCTV, which has the capacity to identify even mask-wearing robbers. We have that technology in place. It's face recognition technology, explained a spokesman, who added that they were pumping resources into acquiring more cameras. Even if you have on a mask, the system can still 85% match the face, he added. We just need 100 more of those cameras on the intersection and the streets, an administrative monitor room, and a patrol police team. Once we see them on the street system, it sets off an alarm and the police can come right away, added the businessman who asked not to be identified. The police have repeatedly expressed concerns about the apparent nonchalance of the Chinese, who have a strong presence in the business community, in keeping large sums of cash at their business establishments and failing to invest in high-quality security systems and personnel. They tend to be quite cavalier in the handling and the movement of large amounts of cash, a St. James-based security expert said. In one robbery last year, robbers made off with over $5 million. That sort of money should be in the bank, not at a poorly secured business place. With the Chinese over recent years shedding their clannish image and becoming integral members of the social fabric of St. James, there's much sympathy for them as they continue to suffer at the hands of criminals. We are deeply disappointed about what has been happening, said a source close to the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are against robbery in general, but we are particularly concerned about the Chinese because they are being targeted more. Another Chinese business operator who expressed solidarity with his business colleague closed his business for 3 days as a mark of respect for the security guard who was killed. He said the frequent attacks were frustrating. Over the past 18 months, at least 13 prominent Chinese-owned businesses have been robbed, resulting in millions of dollars being stolen, said the business operator, who believes that crooks made off with well over $60 million, with 3 business operators killed in the robberies. CPFSA to help children of murdered women after witnessing the tragic incident in which their mother was murdered by their 17-year-old uncle last Tuesday. 3 children who are facing an uncertain future are now on the radar of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA. The children, 2 years old, 6 years old, and 9 years old, were visiting relatives in Johnsontown, Hanover with their mother, 28-year-old Olivia Sinclair, who resided in Westbury Crescent, Bridgeport, St. Catherine, when the tragic incident occurred. Eric Vassell, Northwestern Regional Director for the CPFSA, outlined that there is not much he can say at this time as investigations are still ongoing. However, he said the agency is looking to provide as much assistance as possible. Investigations are ongoing. We have to go to the schools, the police station, the community to figure out what happened and also see where the children are at the moment, said Vassell. We were informed that they were in St. James with their aunt. We have to make contact with their aunt, do a home assessment to see if she's in a position to care for them, and see if there's anything that the agency can do. When quizzed about the teen accused of committing the murder, Vassell said they were also looking at his situation with a view of seeking to assist him as well. Yes, he would fall under our portfolio as well. The only thing is that, because he's alleged to have committed murder, that is something for advocates. We were told he might have some mental issues, so that has to be taken into consideration, said Vassell. According to reports, the accused told his mom several weeks before the incident that he needed help with anger management issues, which caused him to be seen as being extremely aggressive. Over the years I've known him, I've never seen that anger aspect of him. He was a very cool guy, but not afraid to engage anybody at all in any kind of talk, said Maxine Evans, principal of Green Island High School, where the teen last attended school. I am still heartbroken with what happened. It's a terrible heartbreak for me and the school, because on that same day, I got word of a student in the Logwood area that was killed, the principal said. It's reported that shortly after 12:30 p.m. last Tuesday, Sinclair and her brother Beck got into an argument after the latter allegedly hit his 6-year-old niece. Both reportedly brandished knives, and in an ensuing fight, Sinclair was stabbed in her chest. King Valley Gang trial. 44-year-old looks forward to dinner with family, restarting farm after acquittal. Copeland Sankey, one of the 6 alleged members of the King Valley Gang who were acquitted on Wednesday, said he's now anticipating rebuilding his business that was destroyed when he was wrongfully arrested by the police almost 2 years ago. The men, who were accused of terrorizing the citizens of Grange Hill and its environs in Westmoreland, carrying out contract killings, rapes, and a string of bike robberies, leaving unsuspecting victims in fear, were found not guilty on Wednesday after Chief Justice Brian Sykes ruled that the prosecutors did not provide enough evidence to convict them. Sykes also pointed to inconsistencies in statements given by the main witness, a self-proclaimed former member of the gang. Although they were all found not guilty of breaching the Criminal Justice Suppression of Criminal Organizations Act on Wednesday, only Sankey was allowed to walk free, as there are other charges pending against the others. Speaking while making his way through the Supreme Court's gate in downtown Kingston, Sankey, the 44-year-old father of 2, reaffirmed his innocence and said that more than anything, he was looking forward to having dinner with his family and to rebuilding his farm. People know that I am innocent. I did feel bad, terrified, and things like that. Just to know I'm innocent and to be embarrassed like this, he said. My farm getting mashed up, everything gone down the drain just like that. I used to plant cane, I had a pig farm with over 100 pigs, and it all gone just like that. I have to just go back from basics and restart. The other 5 accused, Lyndall Powell, Carlington Godfrey, Ronaldo McInnes, Christian Grant, and Derval Williams, were remanded and are expected to be transferred back to Westmoreland to answer to the other charges. Williams and McInnes are charged with the murder of Lorenzo Beckford, who was referred to in the trial as Quan. Powell was convicted in February for the illegal possession of firearm and is currently serving a 2-year sentence. Sykes explained that his main reason for acquitting the men was a lack of supporting evidence from the Crown, although there were modern technologies which could have assisted with providing the relevant evidence. This is the 21st century. Here's a man who says, I am a murderer, rapist, scammer, no support. This is the modern age. This is not years ago. We have enough cases involving the communication agencies now. You don't even have to make a call for them to trace you. Once your phone is on, they can connect it to the nearest tower, the judge said. The evidence in this case comes exclusively from the witness. As I understand it, there was no forensic evidence. There was evidence from witness X that he participated in certain robberies, but there was no evidence from the police of the robberies or complainants, Sykes said. Further, he shared numerous other instances where evidence provided by the main witness was not supported by the prosecution. Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP, Paula Llewellyn, said that she was surprised with the ruling, adding that the prosecution did the best with what had been given to them. Llewellyn said that although the police tried to gather evidence from the alleged victims of the gang, they all refused. The investigators, they can't make blood out of stone. They have put forward the best that they are able to gather, which was this particular witness who made certain allegations that he had embarked on certain enterprises with the individuals, Llewellyn said. The DPP further disclosed that she was awaiting the verdict of the Hugh Chance Wilson gang trial, which was also presided over by Justice Sykes. In that case, the prosecution relied heavily on evidence from 2 confessed gang members who told the court that they participated in robberies in St. Andrew, St. Catherine, Clarendon, St. Anne, Trelawney, and St. Mary. They said that the gang would trade in stolen items, particularly electronics, at a pawn shop in the corporate area. 6 of the 23 accused in the case were previously freed due to insufficient evidence. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.